Hey, Mike Callahan here. Had a question submitted via Facebook. Wanted to answer it. I know it is in the hot heat of the summer in most areas, but it was actually a snow plowing question. Gentleman's ramping up for next season, and he wants to know, quick question, how long, when doing residential, how long from the time it snow is ended until the phone calls start coming in? When are you coming? So he wants to know, he keeps his routes at around 6 hours, but the complaints start rolling in at around 3 hours. Well, two-pronged approach or two-pronged answer to this question. First thing, let's deal with the time of the actual route itself. In my business, we were averaging anywhere between 5 to 6 hours for our routing. And we are in the largest or the third largest snow area in the United States in upstate New York in Rochester. So probably the worst of the worst right there. So it's probably a good benchmark for just about any market. So we're looking between 5 and 6 hours per route. We are on residentials, we are routing our routes. So crew one starts here, and they meet in the middle. So each crew, through our mobile app and hard copy, in case something happens, has copies of everybody's route with maps and information and contact information live on the cloud, as well as hard copy in a binder, because you never know in the dead of the night what is actually going to happen. So the first thing is routing those routes so they run into each other for efficiency. So if there's a breakdown or one individual is faster or stronger than the other person plowing, that those routes combine into each other for efficiency and breakdowns. We also, in one of the articles I wrote for Lawn and Landscape magazine, we also strategically placed equipment in the service area for backups, where they could be grabbed for backup equipment, within probably an 8 to 10 minute area away from the routes. And in addition, we also contracted subcontractors in the local area that could cover the areas where those two routes combined if we had a catastrophic breakdown, an accident, or a major snow event afoot or more. We would pull those subcontractors in to keep it that 5 to 6 hour range. Now, obviously, when the whole city shuts down, that's a whole different story. So the routing, I'm guessing 6 hours, depending on your market, is probably not that bad. I would shoot between 5 to 6 hours. So if we send the trucks out between midnight and 1 a.m., they should be done between 6 and 7 a.m. That's what we suggested. Now, the second part of that is communication. So going into that 6 to 7 a.m., it was clearly stated in the contract, and we required a signed contract with payment for residentials via credit card or check, no cash. So it had to be prepaid before November 1st and a written contract signed. If either one of those were missing, no go, we would not service the property. So we made sure that they understood that we would not guarantee an exact time, but we shot for morning runs between 6 and 7 a.m. and afternoon runs between 4:30 and 5:30 when everybody got home from work. So clear communication started from the initial contract. Once the crews were dispatched, now depending on the time of day, middle of the night, we did not use text messages, but we can use mass text features in a voice over IP, voice over internet provider such as Ring Central, or in Service Autopilot, we created automations to do such. So we would go out and let everybody know through whether a text blast, an email blast, or even a Facebook Messenger blast through a product called ManyChat. We can go in and get all our snowplow customers in Facebook Messenger and blast that out. So we used communication, letting the consumer know that the crews have been dispatched at approximately this time, and we are projecting this time completion barring any catastrophic disasters, and we would give them an update of the condition. So we were very transparent up front in the contract, what we set as an expectation, but we wouldn't guarantee it. Every time we went out, we would send out an email, text, or Facebook message, depending on the time of the day. Text messaging is great, but don't make the mistake that we did and send out a text message in the middle of the night or a Facebook Messenger blast as well. So email worked really well for the middle of the night. In addition, about midway through the event, if it was running late, or traditionally every time we had a chance, myself or a manager would make a video and put it on social media. And that video would just basically give them a quick background of what was going on in the storm event, where we're at in our projected end time. Now, if we did have a breakdown, maybe we got hit with a late bout of snow right before 5 in the morning and everybody's been sleeping and think we've been out plowing all night, but we haven't been. We would put that in a mass communication privately to each client as well as on social media. A lot of times what we find, and this gentleman saying about 3 hours into the route, he would get the complaints. They start rolling in. Traditionally, they're really not complaints. They're just people curiosity wanting to know where you're at, and they get anxious. So by going through and creating a mass communication via email, text, or Facebook Messenger, you can alleviate a lot of those calls. Now, the key to this is in it, please do not reply unless there is an emergency, because a lot of people will respond, thanks for communicating, this, that, the other. That will absolutely bury your office, or if you're a 1 or 2 person show in the office, or the overnight crew, that will absolutely destroy your communications and you will be backlogged. So make it very polite, but make it understood that please do not respond to this unless it's an emergency situation, explaining that we're trying to keep the phone lines open for any emergencies that we need to address immediately. So those are the main points. I think we need to go between 5 and 6 hours on a residential route. We need to have routes routed so they run into each other for any backups, breakdowns, or anything that, not if it's going to happen, when it happens in the snow removal industry. We need to go out and have some backup equipment if possible in the area. And then we also need to go and create strategic alliances with other snowplow contractors in the area and get them on as subcontractors and backups for breakdowns, accidents, and especially for those massive events that we would get in the Northeast for a foot or more of snow in 4 or 5 hours. That's when those subcontractors and paying them right after the event is going to save your butt and keep you in good sense with your customers. Second part of that is communication. When we dispatch them, if it's in the middle of the day, we can use text messages. If not, the middle of the night, we want to either use probably email, but if it's not during sleeping hours, text message and Facebook messaging blasts work really, really well. But remember to have them not respond to those unless it's an emergency. That should answer the majority of the question. But a lot of it is just proactive planning, being transparent with people, and a lot of it is education before we even make the sale. I used to like to use a lot of the videos and still use the videos in a lot of our sales process to educate people what to expect when they're hiring a snowplow professional, what the things they should be asking when hiring a snowplow professional, and overcoming any of the awful conceptions or misconceptions really of our industry of fly-by-night people not showing up, what happens if there is a breakdown, all the things that we really don't want to answer. You should answer those up front so people are comfortable with you and they're not going to call you in the middle of the night or if you're backed up during a major snow event. Be proactive, be honest, tell them how you handle the good, bad, and the ugly, and that should alleviate a lot of the phone calls and create transparency and great customer service. Any comments or questions, drop below, and great question. And hopefully we don't see the winter months for at least another few months here because I'm starting to at least enjoy upstate New York starting to warm up for once.